Hello, guys. I know it's been a little while since I last uploaded, and there's a whole lot of stuff that's gone on that I'd love to cover, and I probably will go back and make videos for, because the world continues to be a dark and troubling place. Russia is still at war with Ukraine. Every day the Boris Johnson and the Conservative government here in the UK continue to be more and more cartoonishly inept and villainous in equal measure. But the thing that I want to talk about today is obviously the overturning of Roe v. Wade. There's a lot to unpack here, so I guess the best place to start is with the facts. Uh, Basically, the U.S. Supreme Court, in a 6-3 split, decided 2 days ago, on Friday the 24th of June, that they would overturn Roe v. Wade as part of this Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Org. Now, to be clear, Roe v. Wade was a legal precedent and case law that protected women's rights for abortions in America, and that protection no longer exists with this ruling. Now, this doesn't automatically mean that abortion has been abandoned and illegal everywhere in America, but it does now enable states on a state-by-state basis to make whatever legal determinations they want on that. And obviously, a lot of Republican-controlled states will move to kind of eliminate that very quickly. Because, of course, this is a big talking point that Republicans have been talking about for decades. In fact, some states have what is called trigger laws, which were laws that were dependent on a change in circumstance. So if we have a look here, if you live in one of these states, then abortions may already be, or will very shortly be, illegal for you. I think there is still a provision for if the abortion would save your life and stop you from dying, there is still a provision for that. But again, these things are very up in the air and open to a lot of grabs by Republican lawmakers who will, definitely strike while the iron is hot here. Now, the obvious question at this point is, why do I care? Why does an Englishman care? Well, I have plenty of American friends, some of whom are female, and this change in policy, diminishes their protected rights and freedoms. Their bodily autonomy has now been overwritten by legal or political precedent, and I don't think that's right. And I'm sure some smartass in the comments are going to go, but what about vaccine mandates? The difference is quite clear. Vaccine mandates exist to protect not just you, but the people around you. They are in the public interest. So governments kind of asking that citizens get vaccinated in order to continue regular civic participation, I think is perfectly understandable and perfectly fine, especially during a global pandemic. But the only person who's affected by pregnancy is the woman who has to carry the child. And let's be clear about this. Children are, when they are gestating inside the pregnant woman, they are entirely dependent on her. Her health will determine not just her own health, but the baby's health. She literally has to supply all of the nutrients for her own body and for the body that's growing inside of her. So the idea that the baby has any kind of autonomy at this point is irrelevant. It is absolutely um, all on the pregnant person, and they should have the right to decide what is right for them. Now, what is particularly concerning about this is that obviously some states are already going to move to remove abortion as an option. But worse than that, even in Democrat controlled states like California, where the governor has said that he will ensure that Californians can still have abortions, it opens the floodgates for the Senate and the House to debate a blanket ban for abortions across America. And that is a very real prospect, especially if the Republicans gain control of the Senate in either the midterms later this year or in the next general election in 2 years' time. We should absolutely be concerned with what this means. I mean, America is held up the world over as a bastion of modern progressive policies and liberal society, and just generally the template for what a modern progressive country should aspire to be. And this is the message they're sending the world of: you can aspire to be anything, but you don't get a choice on whether or not whether on the baby you're carrying. And this is problematic for a lot of reasons. There are a lot of people who medically it's not safe for them to have pregnancies, and potentially this law could lead to those people being unable to have safe pregnancies, but are still forced to go through something that is going to be painful and dangerous. Additionally, this is going to lead to a lot more children born as a product of rape and incest, and that's just absolutely fucking disgusting. The other thing, and the other reason why we should be worried about this, and why a lot of Americans are worried about this, isn't just what it means for women's rights. It's what Justice Thomas, one of the Supreme Court justices, said. So, yeah, he goes on to say that they should review cases regarding the right to contraception, same-sex marriages, and laws that basically ban same-sex couples. So it seems pretty clear that the Republicans are going to use this as a springboard to attack the rights of other people that they consider undesirable, laws that they don't like. Obviously, anything that kind of strips away LGBT rights or anybody's rights, I think, is bad. I'm particularly concerned because they want to remove the right to contraception. So, you've removed the right to contraception. If you remove the right to contraception as well as the right to abortion, then you are going to have a massive population explosion. And you say, well, why is that a bad thing? Well, see, I did a bit of research on this. This is the child poverty rate. The estimated child poverty rate in America at the moment is 16%. 11.6 million children below the poverty line in America today, right now. And that will grow if contraception and abortions are removed. They are setting themselves up for an absolute explosion in child poverty. I mean, so the official measure just between 2019 and 2020, the number of children classified as living in child poverty in America went up by 1 million. How much more do you think that's going to go up? based on the outcome of these kind of rulings. It's it's really, really worrying. The idea that the wealthiest country in the world can have 16%, 11, over 11 million children in poverty, and that number might be about to absolutely explode, all because Republicans don't think you should have the right to abortion. It's dangerous. It's messy, and I don't think there are any easy solutions here. But what can you do? Well, you've got to get out there. You've got to protest, sign any and every petition you can, and write to your congressmen, to your senators. Make it clear what your view on this is, because Republicans have opened the floodgates, and if you're not prepared, then this is going to get ugly. And it's particularly concerning, especially to us here in the UK, because right now the Conservative government is talking about repealing and replacing a piece of European legislation for the Human Rights Charter with a Bill of Rights. But the Bill of Rights is more nebulous. It would allow for a lot more government um, fuckery, for lack of a better word, in terms of what rights we are or are not legally entitled to. And this is, well, I don't want to make the Nazi comparison, but this is a step in the wrong direction. This is a step backwards historically. Here we are in the 21st century trying to move forward from various civil rights movements that happened throughout the last century. And here we are on the teetering on the edge of those civil rights going backwards instead of forwards. That's not a society that anybody wants to live in. It's not a society that we should aspire to live in. There's a brilliant line about that was it. This was the quote that I wanted to find. A quote about the rights of the unborn. The unborn are a convenient group for people to advocate for. They never make demands of you. They're moral. Get out of the way. Unlike the incarcerated or the addicted and chronic poor, they don't resent your condescension or complain that you're politically correct. Unlike widows, they don't ask you questions about patriarchy. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, education, healthcare. This is the perfect thing, is these people will advocate pro-life and advocate for the unborn, but they've got no provision for what happens when those children are actually born into the world, actually become part of society. If repealing these legislations was actually about pro-life, then there would be more talk in America about reducing healthcare costs, about supporting young parents, especially single mothers. There would be more support for childcare, for making sure that children are fed and clothed and educated. But that's not what they're talking about. This direction that conservative Christians and their ilk are leading America in is one that will breed way more problems. Like I said, they've got the makings of an absolute unimaginable child poverty problem in the coming years if they go down this road. If they continue down this road, should I say. Which it seems like they will do. And that's horrifying. You've got to, whether or not you're pro-life or pro-choice, you've got to hold these legislators accountable, make them think about the consequences of these decisions, make sure that if they are going to do this, that they are going to bring policies in place that make sure that that's healthcare, that that's support, that childcare, the parental leave for new parents is there, because otherwise it's going to get messy. I don't. I mean, if it wasn't clear, I don't agree with this. I don't think it should be removed. I think there should be legal protection for pro-choice, and yeah, this is going to lead America in a particularly ugly direction in the coming weeks, months, years. So be safe, be well informed, and I guess make sure you stock up on contraception before they try and remove any legal right to contraception.